Thank you for having me.
So, Alex, lots of times people run for office for a lot of different reasons, right? But what's your reason for doing this?
I want to put my best foot forward, and I want to do right by my home. I want to do right by Coral Gables, and I don't think that that's happening right now.
When you decided, all right, to put your foot down, tell us and your audience and people that are watching you what that was like, and when you made that decision and when you figuratively did that.
That actually, I want to give a big thanks to my campaign manager, Sam Duran, because she was the one that actually was like, do it. Don't just talk about it, actually do it. And I was like, it didn't really register immediately until after I had turned in my statement of candidacy at Coral Gables, speaking with people in the city, and there was that moment that I thought, I have it signed. Not everything is set in stone. I can always not turn in the paper, but I decided against that. I decided that I really did want to take this seriously and put my best foot forward and run.
So somebody's listening out there and saying, I've been there. I've decided to go do something, and I started the process, and as I was waiting in line maybe to do it, or working on some other things, or it was emailed to me, I haven't sent it back yet, and that during this time of I could still get out of it, all right? But in this case, you decided to still go forward.
Yeah.
When you decided, when you had it there, when was the second time you said, yes, I'm going to do this, I'm not going to wait any longer? And what was that like when you finally put your stamp on it or wrote a check or whatever it was that you did to finalize, hey, I'm a candidate?
The time over the weekend, I decided, this is it. This is when it's happening. And I marched into City Hall, handed them the paper, and it was really inspiring to get back that copy and to see my name on the candidate list.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So now that you're in this somewhat, if you factor in the period of 50 years and the candidates that have run for Coral Gables City Commission, there really aren't that many. A couple hundred?
I think.
Maybe?
Yeah.
300, 500, some relatively small number. Right?
Yeah.
So you're one of those people that said, I'm going to go do this.
Yeah.
So and the smile on your face, all right? Look at him. He's smiling. He made that big step. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And it really, at the core of this, when you said you wanted to serve, all right? Tell us why you feel that need to serve.
I don't have a name in Coral Gables. I'm not the mayor's brother. I'm not, like a relative of the former Dade County mayor. I don't own any major property in Coral Gables. I'm Alex Hack.
So you're in graduate school now?
Yes, I am. I'm studying at Florida International University.
And what are you studying?
I'm studying history.
So congratulations to you. And when do you think you'll be finished with that?
At the rate that I'm going, I should be done by next year.
Okay. So I'm not going to ask you what, as far as your history knowledge about the city of Coral Gables, but if you don't know, you should know, all right?
Yes.
Because out of all the areas, all the cities, George Merrick's name comes up so frequently, it's all the time, all right?
Yes.
I don't hear people saying that about South Miami or Cutler Bay or Kendall. Coral Gables, in and itself, people that live there are proud to live there. They want to live there, all right? And when you have an address in the Gables, all right, people feel good about that because it's, if you will, it is a club within Dade County, and there's no problem with that. And just like in Pinecrest, when Pinecrest was first created, I live in Pinecrest, all right? And that's just the way that is. So you did mention some of the other folks, not by name, but that have families that have been in power for a long time, right? That's historically a pathway that people go, no different if your parents were a doctor. We had an MBA fellow who was here the other day. His mother was a doctor, his father was a doctor, his four siblings were doctors, and he's in the medical arena. So that's not a bad thing. It just is a thing.
A friend of mine said, well, I mean, sure, yeah, it's a democracy. You can still run, but it's that added help that they get from that name that certainly, it does help them out a lot.
So you certainly have some challenges that are set out in front of you. I admire you for doing that for people that run for office. You're young enough to be able to get beat up, all right, because that's about to happen to you, all right?
Yes.
All right? And it's just the way that it is. When you come out on the other end of this, whether you win, lose, or draw, all right, you will be a better person.
Absolutely.
You will have the admiration of hundreds of people, perhaps thousands. That you look pretty young. I want to ask you how old you are, right? But at a young age and doing that, and with your experience to take that chance. But let's talk about some of the things you have done since undergraduate. Where did you go to undergraduate?
I went to the University of Miami for my undergraduate.
Okay. Other than getting elected, what are some of the other things that you would like to accomplish in the next 10 years?
I wanted to actually go into teaching. I thought about, going the full PhD and teaching at a university. I did, like I said, I always did kind of imagine running for some kind of political position. And this to me is sort of a learning experience.
So let's talk about your perhaps your doctoral studies. When would you decide to do that if you were going to go get your PhD?
I'd like to ideally do it as soon as possible. And that's really how I would go into the PhD program, is try to be as proactive as possible.
Good. So if that's what you want, that would be great. And all those things get you to a whole nother level of conversation with people, all right? It just happens like that. And you live in the Gables, and how long you been sharing teaching at Miami-Dade?
It's going to be 2 years.
Okay. So, and you grew up here in the area?
Yes, I've been a Coral Gables resident my entire life.
All right. So you teach part-time?
Yes.
Okay. You're finishing up your master's, maybe in a year or so. Yes. You're running for Coral Gables City Commission. That's a full plate.
Yeah, it's a lot of plates in the air.
Yeah, well, good for you. Do it while you can. So, what are some of the things, if you're fortunate enough to be elected and get the confidence of the voters, what are some things that you would like to bring to the table for open discussion with your colleagues and with the citizens of Coral Gables?
To ameliorate the parking situation in Coral Gables, because I can speak from experience, and a lot of my friends can speak that Coral Gables parking is not great.
Yep.
And then development, both in terms of housing and sort of small businesses, because not only because of the pandemic, but I think also just how Coral Gables has kind of gone about reinvigorating itself. Like, my biggest sore point with the city was how they handled the streetscape and the beautification of Coral Gables. By taking away the angled parking and creating parallel parking, it's not only limited the amount of parking available, but it also removed that sort of convenience where you could just kind of go in and then maybe spend 30 minutes in a shop.
Yes, and people that have trucks that have a hard time parallel parking, it's like, oh my goodness. So that's frequently a great debate, and Victor Dover is a well-known urban planner, has a lot to say about that. But the city went through several years redoing Miracle Mile, and also the restaurant district on the other side. That was a few years ago. But a lot of time, a lot of the merchants suffered financially terribly while the streets were torn up. And now, of course, we have this pandemic that is killing retail, and of course, online shopping has had its toll. The restaurants are in serious trouble. Hopefully, many of them will be able to come back. We were looking at some of the candidates and people that have been elected to the city commission. You have some that have been anti-growth, and then you have some that have been smart growth. You might be advised to take a look and see which positions of those people and who got in. All right. So and on both sides, what do you think about all the construction that has already taken place?
In terms of the construction, I think naturally it's frustrating. It's headache-inducing. But I think that, yes, if we're smart about where we construct and what we construct, I think that will be the biggest benefit to the city.
There are plenty of times, and you have to imagine, they'd imagine that you're on stage somewhere, and you have the pro-growth people pulling one arm this way for you, then you have the anti-people pulling you this way, and then you have your own core beliefs.
Right.
Because if it hasn't happened yet, that's exactly what is going to happen, right? And sometimes getting elected there's always a money issue. I'm not saying the person with the most money wins, all right? Because we see it in South Miami all the time. People sometimes get elected with almost no money, and money in itself is not the answer. But how are you raising money if you need it, and how are you communicating with the voters in Coral Gables?
I've already, at the behest of a friend, sort of set up a donation on my website, hack2021.org. A lot of the expenses, like the cards and flyers that I've been setting up, have been coming out of my pocket. And I do want to do a lot of door knocking. I have a good jumping off point, and from there do that as a mailing list, send out flyers, and use that to help. Did you make a card yet? Do you have a statement of your positions on anything yet? Yes, that is also on my website.
Okay.
And
so it's important for people to go to your website so they can find out more about you. That election is in April?
Yes.
And how many people so far have registered to run in this seat?
Not including me, there's 5 other people running
in this seat.
In the seat that I'm running.
Really? So there's 6 people.
Yes.
So far.
So far.
When is end of qualifying?
That I think is in February.
Right. So 6 people so far. That's a lot of folks, all right? And so it's the top 2 vote getters that get in. So it's unlikely that somebody's going to get 50%. What are you going to do so that your candidacy is seen as a qualified one and a hopeful one, so that when people look at this list of 6 people, they're going to say, I'm going to vote for Alex Hack? What are you going to do?
I really want to engage with the people of Coral Gables. That's why I'm doing the door knocking, so that they can directly see who will likely be their next commissioner. I want them to see my face. I want them to know who exactly I am as a person. I want to properly exemplify the city of Coral Gables. I don't have any name to I don't have a name to myself. I am your average citizen. I care about my city, and I am running because I believe that our city is at a crossroads, and I want it to be the best version possible. And I want to sort of maintain the identity that Georgia Merrick has created for Coral Gables with the growth and innovation of the 21st century. It's important to look to the future while learning from the lessons of the past, which will enable us to maintain our identity.
Wow. By the way, somebody probably know Ibis Valdez. She says, "Go Alex Hack."
Oh, yes.
And Victor Otero. And also Phil Lyons says hello, Freddie Delgado, Eric Reedon, Alberto Rodriguez, and Olivia Meyer say hi. So your message that you just did, all right? It's got to be really clear for the people there. You're the only one that can do that. You're not going to have a campaign manager that you're going to pay a lot of money to. You're the one that's going to do it. So I hope that you put together a marketing campaign where you can be in front of the people. And I think as these next few weeks, as more and more people are getting vaccines, people will get a little more comfortable. But imagine you're walking down the street, you're going to be wearing masks, you're going to go up to the doors and knock on doors.
Yes.
And then what do? You back up about 20 feet?
Well, I mean, like, I'm not going to, I will respect the 6 feet apart, but I still want to give off the impression, I'm, warm and approachable, even in these times that require us to be very distant.
Yeah, and let's talk about that, because even though we are physically closer, there's this glass in between here, that there is for I think most people, most animals, even trees, our nature want to be close, right? And if you look at forests, it's like that. It's not just this one palm tree out in the middle of this vacant land. So let's talk about what the COVID experience has done for you as a person.
I mean, just going to the store to get something is kind of a little harrowing, because you walk in and there's people that are walking around, and sure, they have masks, but it's still kind of daunting.
Yes. And I think most people are in that range. All right. Forget what we see on TV. Our experience when you walk in and you can see that. And certainly we hope by spring, late spring, that it'll start to be a little bit different.
Right.
Now, one of the things that people are doing a lot of course, is Zoom. Went from 10 million to 1 billion people, I think, in a relatively short period of time. And lots of other ways to do that.
Certainly, that is something now I am definitely going to try and incorporate. But again, I just think that like there's that level of intimacy that you see the candidate at your doorstep, and he's taken time out of his day to say hello. You know, I care about you to that person, and I think that really is going to have a big impact. It might not affect them in the moment, but it's certainly going to be something that they're going to think about.
Yes, absolutely. Door knocking and one-on-one has always been good. Kissing babies, if you will. Not now. So, and we do want that closeness. I'm not suggesting that you exclude one or the other, but all those things to be able to communicate in a mass way are needed. How many people are going to vote, you think?
Well, in the last election, the turnout was about 25%. And I mean, like, it's wishful thinking to think that like everybody in Coral Gables is gonna vote, but I want to try and reach as many people as possible. And win or lose, I want to be able to say confidently that I put my best foot forward, and that I care about my city enough that I did this.
Okay, let's talk about the city. We got 2 minutes left here. The city of South Miami changed its election date from February to November. So when people go to the polls in November, it draws more people to the polls. All right. Coral Gables has an election, and when that is in April?
April 13th, the first round.
If the city of Coral Gables decided to move that election to November, more people would come out, more people would be represented. All right.
Likely, yes.
Yes, it's just the way that it works. And so the city commission over there, I'm sure they've looked at it. All right. And in South Miami, it passed. All right. And if South Miami can pass that, if we were really looking for democracy and giving people a reason to go to the polls other than this race, all right, that more people will show up and it'll be better for democracy. So I hope the city commission, if you get on, look at changing that, all right?
Absolutely.
So that lots of people will do that. All right, we got 45 seconds left. I'd like you to look into the camera over there, and I would like you to think back and to people that have made a difference in your life, right? So tell us about that.
I want to give a special shout out to my family, my mom and dad, who are helping me partially with this campaign.
You got that, mom and dad?
And you know, again, just big props to my campaign manager, Sam Duran. She really is the driving force that was like, you have the paper, you have the drive, do it, Alex. And I really wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be talking to you if it wasn't for her.
Okay, thank you for that. Samantha, thanks so much for doing that. All right, folks, if you want to find out more about Alex Hack, who is running for City of Coral Gables City Commission, you can go to his website. And your address on the website again is, what is it?
hack2021.org.
That's tremendous. I want to thank Tommy for producing our show. Again, thank you for joining us. This is Live with Miami's Community News. Have a great day. And thank you very much for being here, Alex.